So here's a quick. This will get us into it. This might try to keep it short because I know we'll just ramble if we just go with it. But the 3 hour runtime, pretty much 3 hours. I love it when a movie like we were talking about like in the when I was talking spoiler free last week, and I said that when you watch The Dark Knight and it just bounces and it goes, it's rock and roll, and it meshes really well from scene to scene. But then you get to The Dark Knight Rises and it doesn't have enough time to breathe, and it's very like, here's one sentence, boom, done, end of this scene, goes on to the next one. It feels like a trailer, mostly because all those big choppy like obvious ones are in the trailer. But I like that this movie has time to really breathe and to develop some characters. But I do feel like it was a lot in one movie. The flow was good, but I still feel like you probably could have chopped 20 minutes off of it. And it's weird because I have always loved long movies, but now as I get older, my time is less. Like, I love Snyder's Justice League. I ain't got 4 hours to watch it.
I have a couple things on the runtime alone. Number one, it fit for this film. If like 89 Batman was 3 hours long, that's just too much. If Batman Forever was 3 hours long, that's too much. It worked for the tone of the film. That said, and we'll get there, the final act was about 30 minutes could have been shaved off, and it would have wrapped it up better, in my opinion. The Dark Knight trilogy tends to run around 2 hours, 20 minutes, I believe, is the average time, something like that. So it's significantly shorter, but Nolan kind of set the bar for, we need a very long Batman movie. I revisited Batman Begins over the past few days as well. That still, to me, does not feel like the runtime that it is. The Batman, while I was sitting there, it went pretty quick, but at the same time, there were some drawn out parts where it felt like, I think I've been here 2.5 hours. So I've got some things to say, but yeah, on the runtime, it works for the film, but I'm still not huge on it. I think we could have shaved half an hour off.
Right. I think this is one of those where it's like the director's cut, and everybody be like, "Oh, it is a little bit better because you get a little bit more." But I do think that weeding it off a little bit. It's so weird though, because it's like we're like, stop cutting Zack Snyder's movies down. Like, this is what happens. Like, but I think, I don't know, and I don't know this for sure, but I'm assuming that Matt Reeves, and I have no idea how long his actual like full like everything he could put on screen, but I think Zack Snyder doesn't think about cutting his movie down. You know what I'm saying? And I think that it's not. Yeah, I don't think in his mind it's meant to be 2.5 hours, and then they make him do it, and it doesn't work. I think he's more like more like that independent mind where it's like, look, I just want to put out the best product I can for the love that I have, and everybody else is like, well, yeah, but there's dollar signs, there's averages, there's butts and seats that we need to get through. Like, so I don't know. That's just something I was curious on.
Well, yeah, it's unique too, because if you think about it, until now, Batman vs. Superman in the theater felt long. And then you get the home release with the Ultimate Cut, which that's the only way to watch the movie now. It's getting there. It's a long movie. Yet somehow, some way, I didn't have that feeling with the extended cut of Batman vs. Superman. Now, that also could be that I was at home when I saw it. So I wasn't thinking about, oh, I got to get home and do these things, because I was already here. I could hit pause. I could, if I needed to break away for a minute. So some of that could be on me. But
going back to the Batman, let's keep it spoiler free let's keep it spoiler free in the beginning. And then when we run out of stuff that we can dance around, we'll dive right into it. But so I think another good place to go off. We covered the runtime, a little long, not bad, just a little long. I appreciate it for the theater because I paid good money to be there. I'm eating popcorn. For me, it doesn't hurt. I just think about on repeat viewings, it could be a little shorter. Now, I want
Yeah.
to go on to.
Um, we keep freezing. I want to say
Yeah,
for the theater, I have to agree. It was money well spent. It really, really, really was. So I can't complain about that. That's for sure.
yeah. So now I want to go once again, spoiler free. I want to talk about the actors. So I mean, great cast, right? I mean,
Yeah.
everybody: Andy Serkis, John Turturro, Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz. What's Riddler is Paul Dano.
Paul
Uh,
Dano.
Yeah, Dano, thank you. And of course,
Yep.
Penguin as Colin Farrell. There is, I mean, everybody just crushes their roles, and
Yeah.
I really, I think I have the weakest one. I won't say it now, but I think that it's just the acting is superb across the board.
It really is. I I mean, if you want, if we're trying to, it's not really a spoiler for the one that I want to pick on. Should I do it here or should I wait till we get into spoilers?
I'd say, yeah, wait for the spoilers, just because I really want to keep this spoiler free. That way we can keep it contained.
Okay. I overall, it is a very well acted, very well done film. Um, I have two problems as far as the acting goes. Um, but then again, they're nitpicks that didn't take away from my enjoyment of the film. They're just a personal preference. That's it. It's all personal preference, and it's where I sit. If somebody tells me that they think that complete opposite of what I say, I can actually see it. That's cool. We're good. So I just want to say that about this movie because it is because of coming off Affleck, coming off of Snyder, not really knowing what direction we were going to go, and how much I didn't want this movie, and a lot of people didn't want the movie, and how other people were super over the top excited for the movie. It did really well. They did a lot of things really well, and I'm happy to put my foot in my mouth.
Yeah. Well, I was one of them. I want to see the end of Ben Affleck. I think he deserves and needs more movies. So I was right there with you, man. And
Yep.
it's not more Batman is never really going to offend me unless you keep pumping out like Batman and Robins that kill the franchise. Like that would bother me. But Jabari
Yeah.
said that Pattinson would be a perfect Red Hood. I agree with you there, and I think that he would also be a very, very good Nightwing. I think that when you see him with his hair and the black eyes, a Nightwing suit would look really good on him.
He would, but at the same time, what I think of when I think of Red Hood now, I think a dude from Supernatural who did the voice for Red Hood in the Red Hood animated film, and he also does the voice for Batman in the Long Halloween. I think it's Dean Winchester. I can't remember. That's Jensen Ackles. He's the older
That's
brother in Supernatural.
right. That sounds right. That sounds right. Yeah, but no, yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I think so too. Yeah, good call though, Jabbar. I think that's a good call. I would love to see the Red Hood, but unfortunately, with this version, we're never going to see it. I mean, that's the thing about Ben Affleck's
But
Batman
with
is you could you
it
could
was
see.
gonna give us so much more.
I know you could see flashbacks on stuff you wanted to see. You could see further stuff with Nightwing and the rest of them. Like, dude, it was the potential for the later end Batman is so much greater now. We had it. We had it. Anyway, going back to the Batman 2020 because we'll get off target real fast. I want to say that once again, still spoiler free. I think that the music was great. I think it's very operatic. I think it's very top notch. I think it amplifies everything that's going on. It also adds levity to each situation. I think the music was spot on for this movie. Doesn't quite stand out as much to me as Man of Steel or Danny Elfman's 89 or 92 scores, but I really did like the score. And the more I listen to it, I'm sure the more I will like it.
Throughout the film, I noticed hidden in the score were specific sounds from Batman '89 and Batman Returns. It was just certain like notes in the tone that immediately made me think of that, and I feel like maybe that was their little like tip of the hat to the earlier films. It just hit me like 4 or 5 times throughout the movie. I'm like, I heard that in Batman Returns. I heard that in Batman '89. Um, but for Man of Steel, that was Hans Zimmer who also did the Dark Knight trilogy, and he did Batman vs Superman. He is a talented musician. The gentleman who did the Batman is also, he did a fantastic job. Um, I'm with John here. Maybe it's because of where I was in my life when I saw the Dark Knight trilogy or Man of Steel that those scores hit a lot harder for me. But that doesn't mean that the Batman score hasn't been played on repeat on my phone lately. So
Yeah, it's weird because like there's a lot of like in the Dark Knight trilogy there's a lot of like choo 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 choo. It's like it's just I don't know the building of tension to Batman and like the when he falls down and all that stuff. And it had 3 movies to continually do the same thing to just build up Batman, and he has his own theme song basically when he's rolling up. So I think as time goes, this might overtake the Dark Knight. That those the sound and the, yeah. But anyway, so also going into that just real fast, I want to talk about the sound design is really good when it comes to the Batmobile, when it comes to the Batman suit, when it comes to punches and the gunfire and stuff like that. They did a really good job with that.
I want to toss in here. It looks spectacular. It looks like the Arkham video games. It looks like you would want Arkham City to look. Or not Arkham City. Sorry, that's the game. Like Gotham City. The cinematography was so well done. It just... Yeah. I feel like we've gotten closer and closer and closer to an interpretation of what a real-life Gotham would look like. This is the best. Hands down. If you want to go see a movie where you feel like you're looking at Gotham, go see the Batman. And pay the theater ticket for it.
And that's like the most glaring thing. And this isn't really a spoiler. I guess it could be, but
yeah.
The Gotham itself, you actually get to see now. In the first movie, you got to see Gotham a little bit dirtier, a little bit darker, a little bit. He goes into the Narrows, and he the first movie felt, but that was also I think shot on sound stages, right, and stuff like that. And then in the next 2 movies, he actually went to like Chicago and other places like that and shot in real places. So it's harder to get gritty and nasty when you're actually shooting in normal environments. But in this movie, you actually get to see like, no, Gotham's on the edge of like for the people in poverty, for the people that are not obviously the rich, it's in bad shape, and it's like it's across the board. And then there's these little pockets of rich people where they hide in their huge towers and things like that. But it does kind of paint a sad picture on. I like the scope of the Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, but this one does a very good job of putting you into that nasty, like almost depression feeling. Gotham. And I will say that I still prefer '89 Batman's Gotham, mostly for nostalgia, but also because I like that gothic. I like the comic book page feel with the '40s feel to it. I feel like it hits to the absolute roots to Batman. Now, as a realistic, the Batman would win, but I think that I still prefer the roots comic book feel of '89. But I love it. I love it. The most
personally
realistic
for me,
Batmobile, very logical. Yeah.
On that, the Batmobile to me felt like what every like teenage kid wanted to do, go build a hot rod. It looks like an old 70s Cuda without the hood and jacked up on really big menacing tires without like a rear. It's just it fits, it makes sense. It sounds good. It looks good. And every time I saw it, one of the things I thought of was the death-proof Chevy Nova. Like,
Oh
it
yes.
just made me think of that.
Now, for this to be death proof, you really need to be sitting in my seat. Oh my god, I love that spot,
Yep.
that scene, dude. No, what hit me was when the engine fires up and the flame fires out. I thought, and it's so weird and it's so random, but in Too Fast, Too Furious, when they're getting ready to race those muscleheads, and he fires up that Camaro, I think, or the Charger, one or the other. I think it was the Charger, and it's like,
Challenger.
and it was no, it was a Charger, it wasn't a Challenger. Anyway,
Nope.
it,
72 Challenger.
Anyway, I believe you. But the dude that's in the Camaro, he goes, American Muscle. And that's the thought that went through my head when because it was so good in the theater, so good. And that's like, I just laughed inside. I was like, American Muscle. It was so smart to do something like that to where we could all, I mean, most people can appreciate a good muscle car, even if you're more into, Japanese, or if you're into whatever kind of sports car you're into. Everybody can appreciate that American muscle, that roar of the engine, and then you get that jet engine at the back, and it's Batman. It's Batman, and it took it to the next level that this movie needed to make it more superhuman. I don't know. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think
No, the Batmobile was really cool.
yeah, I think that's pretty much the end of the spoiler free. Like I said, like you said, shot well, sounds awesome across the board, acting is great across the board. Is it a Challenger? It's been so long since I've seen that movie. It's my bad.